Welcome everyone to the Adversity to Advantage podcast. I'm so privileged and excited because I know a little bit about your story, but we've never actually met. I've got Wesley Alston with me all the way from North Carolina, here to talk a little bit about his story. Welcome to the show, Wesley.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
So did your brother kind of twist your arm a bit and force you to come on?
Oh no, I think he had mentioned the podcast. He had mentioned your podcast to me before, and he always talked about maybe I'd like to talk to you about maybe some other projects he talked about doing. So yeah, he always mentioned it, and I just once he mentioned this, I was like, yeah, I'll give it. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I was ready to do it. So
let's dive in, right? And so your brother, of course, is Johnny Alston, who we've had on the podcast as well. He's talked a little bit about the physical kind of health aspects that can connect to our mental health. And I just know so much of your story just based on his mental health advocacy, I guess. So give us a little insight into who you are at the moment. Like, what are the things that you're involved in? What are you passionate about?
So right now, actually, to give you a little bit of an even more recent update, I was working at a work shoe store. We sold like steel toe shoes, stuff like that. Because of the pandemic, recently I was actually let go from them. I was actually laid off. And so during that time, I took a little bit of time during the time after I was laid off, I took a little bit of time to kind of think about what I wanted to do moving forward. And they actually called me back a couple of times actually and asked me, did I want to come back to work once everything, got back kind of close to normal. Over the time I was thinking about it, I was just like, I'm in school and I think I could finish a lot faster if I just go full-time school. So, and I kind of want to, I was working there and I was enjoying it, but I kind of, I had other things that I wanted to do past that job in the future. So actually over time, I just decided, I don't think I'm going to go back, and I think I'm going to do full-time school and just pursue this degree in design that I'm pursuing right now in school. So yeah, currently I'm just an aspiring designer, kind of freelancing and, just in school, and, besides that, just spend a lot of time with my family and, just working on getting better at my mental health each and every day.
Yeah.
And just living life like that. So
I love it. So you sort of a great example of looking for the opportunity within sort of let go or COVID-19, the different things that are happening, to think, well, how do I use this information to see if I pivot myself into what I really want to do, which sounds great. And of course, managing mental health in isolation or when we're seeing our families arguably way too much can be a challenge, right? Do you find that the pandemic has affected your mental health in any way?
You know what? I want to say yes, but in a way, it's kind of like some days there's like I'm just kind of like I kind of got to get out of this house. I got to do something that free my mind a little bit, just see something different other than these these walls inside the house. But really, in a way, I feel like it's affected me like a lot more positively. Okay. Yeah, I feel like I feel I have more time to exercise here and there. So I'm exercising a little more. I've actually, started making a little bit more efforts to eat healthier, not eat as much fast food, stuff like that. And in a way, it's just the strangest thing. Sometimes I feel myself, I don't know if it's because I'm not working anymore or anything, but I feel myself kind of just thinking differently. I was kind of putting up some clean clothes the other day, and I just kind of could feel it. I was like, something just feels different about my thought process. It's like I'm a little more at ease about things. It's kind of like a positive effect in a way, for me personally.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And in a way, some pressure's been taken off in a way and allowing you to just reflect on the moment in front of you.
Yeah.
Interesting. So tell us a bit about your story. So I know you've got a mental health diagnosis, but what was it like maybe growing up as a kid? Did you feel like you fit into the education system and the normal stuff that people do? Or was there always a part of you that was like, ooh, something's going on?
No, really. I mean, when I was growing up, I felt like, I fit pretty well into just like, the norm of, basic, education, stuff like that. I was pretty outgoing, a little bit, a little more outgoing socially, things like that. I wouldn't say I had a lot of friends, but I had a good number of close friends, and I just knew a lot of people at school, and yeah, everything felt pretty normal, school wise. Yeah, and so, I just felt like I was, there was never really a time where I was like, something different seems to be going on with me than other people. Everything was pretty much a pretty solid, smooth baseline, for me. I felt like it was, it was a parallel to everybody else.
Okay. And so then how did things develop for you? And when did you find out that maybe something was going on with your mental health?
Yeah, yeah. So I always tell people, I'll never forget. I was in college. I was about 20 years old, and one night I was kind of trying to sleep in my room, and it was the weirdest thing. Like this, like I had so previously to this, I had some symptoms. I kind of felt like I was hearing my roommate talk to me in my head, and I told one of my friends on campus about it, and one of my friends was like really, he's like real religious, kind of in the church and everything. He was just like, well, he was like, well, would you like to come with me to this service we're having today? So I went, had a good time at the service and everything. So I come back home, or I come back to my dorm, and I'm trying to sleep in my room that night. I'm getting these, I'm getting these images in my head, like these real negative images. I don't know if I should get too graphic about it and everything.
You can get as graphic as you're comfortable with on this show. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So actually, I see the word devil like in my mind.
Yeah.
I'm just like, where's that come from? And I feel like these like really strong, like this really strong bad energy just overcoming like my body and like my head and my mind. I was like, what is going on? So really that night was kind of the moment when I felt something weird happen. And from then on, I just, I woke up, I couldn't sleep. I woke up and I kind of felt my roommate talking to me again. And I felt another one of my roommates kind of trying to talk me through everything and trying to, just calm everything down for me. It was just, I don't know, it was just kind of weird. But
it was all going on in your head though. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, and it felt so real. It felt like they were actually talking to me, but they weren't there in person, but I felt like they were actually, speaking to me at the time, like right there next to me. So I would talk back, stuff like that, but like just in my mind.
Did you feel nervous or scared or worried, or was it just like, hey, let me just deal with whatever this conversation is?
I was terrified. I mean,
Okay.
it felt kind of comfortable because I was like, is this something that everybody's going through? I was like, is this something that people just deal with at a certain point in their life? But at the same time, I was like, I didn't know what schizophrenia was at the time, and I was just like this. But I was like, this just, this isn't something I've ever dealt with before. I've never had this happen. So like, what's going on?
Yeah, of course. That would just be so new and worrying. So where did that lead to?
I kept hearing my roommates talk to me, and then I go around campus, go to class. I would still go to class and all this stuff. I was even talking to counselors on campus and everything, but I was still kind of be hearing, I would just be hearing stuff here and there, and everybody would kind of be telling me how to play this game, which was called the game was called Get It Right. And the whole time it was just kind of like this thing, like whatever you do, make sure it's. I feel like nowadays it feels like the game is like, make sure everything is politically correct, or make sure everything is like get it right. Don't do your best not to make any mistakes, or something bad is gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the time it was just all about this get it right type of concept. I was just like, what is that? So,
does that mean that you said you were speaking to counselors? Were you letting them know about the voices, or were you trying to pretend like you were getting it right and like everything was cool on the outside?
Yeah, yeah. So I remember talking to the counselors, and I would mention some of the things that the voices were saying to me, and if I can't remember exactly what they said in response, but I feel like they were, like, everything's gonna be all right. If you need any more help, just come back and talk to us. But I don't know. I felt like, I don't know if I ever really mentioned the get it right part to them, but I feel like they were just kind of like, well, you're okay, they didn't really mention anything about, well, you might have a mental illness or something like that, and not not to disrespect them on their part or anything, but I kind of feel like, they just kind of, maybe they felt like they sensed it wasn't, as intense,
Yeah.
They just kind of, I wouldn't say they brushed it off, but they didn't really say that I needed any medication. They didn't really say that I needed any medication or anything like that. So,
Yeah.
you
And I
know,
guess they maybe didn't see the full picture of what was going on the inside, right? And so
right.
when did you find out, or who helped you find out that you did have a diagnosis of some kind? How bad did it get for you before you figured it out?
Yeah, so I think there was a time like during that semester I started. My parents told me I was coming home a lot. I was spending a lot of time at home, just kind of isolated from a lot of people. Which at the time I wasn't really aware of. The fact that I might be coming home a little more frequently than normal. I was. I think they sensed something was kind of happening, and so then, my brother, I think he did a lot of research online. He found a lot of stuff. A lot of the symptoms I was having, he linked it to, the schizophrenia situation. The diagnosis of schizophrenia. And my mom decided, okay, I guess we gotta, get him to the hospital, to see what's exactly going on. And so yeah, then basically from there, I went to the hospital. I went to a hospital here in Greensboro called Wesley Alston. And there, I was there, and I still didn't feel like anything was wrong. I was like, I could probably be out of here in a couple of days, But I since being in the hospital, I was like, okay, maybe they just need to check something real quick. And I was there for a whole week, but they didn't even really, they gave me some medications and everything, but they didn't really diagnose me with anything there. But I ended up going to the hospital again a couple of days later at Wake Forest Baptist Hospital, and that's where I overheard a doctor say, okay, he was, he's dealing with a case of schizophrenia and psychosis, and that's when I realized what I was going through. So.
I guess it got pretty serious, just your symptoms and the experience for them to keep you in hospital that long and eventually for you to get that diagnosis.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was I was still having I was still having the images in my head, and a lot of negativity, a lot of stuff, a lot of negative stuff I was hearing. I started hearing my friends that I grew up with, and all that are either in Greensboro, like in my neighborhood. I started hearing them kind of, talk to me, and some of the stuff just was like, negative stuff, and the whole time, my parents and, my brother and my sister, they would tell me, well, it's not real, just don't pay attention to it. But it felt so real, and I feel like it felt like I was just, they were right there. And it just, yeah, I guess the way I was acting around my family, they could just tell something different was going on, and that's when we decided to seek help.
Yeah, and was it affecting your studies? Like, did you have to drop out or anything, or were you able to somehow manage both situations?
Yeah, so I finished the semester that year at school, but it didn't go halfway as good as my first 2 years it went. So yeah, I left school. So I finished school that semester, but then I came home, and yeah, I was basically out of school for I was out of school for about maybe 2 or 3 years after that. Well, it's a long story. I went back to school after that for a little bit, but after that, I basically had to stay out of school for a while, and just kind of regain composure and everything.
Of course, of course. And what was it like just getting that diagnosis? Because there's lots of like media stuff or stigma around those sorts of words, psychosis, schizophrenia, that can be pretty scary, or that you can sort of see in other people's eyes that they're scared on your behalf, or they don't, people don't really understand what it's like. Do you remember, like, once you had that diagnosis, for some people it's almost a relief because they're like, oh, at least I know what I'm dealing with. Or for some people, it's pretty terrifying. Like, what was your experience once you got that diagnosis?
Yeah, I would definitely say it was more like a relief. I was
Was
kind of
it?
like, yeah, because by then, I felt like hearing the voices and everything was different. But by the time I realized, okay, I kind of hate to use labels on a lot of stuff, but by the time I heard the diagnosis and understood what I was going through, I was like, okay, well, people are familiar with this. There's people out there that know things about this, and it's kind of like, that's hope that gives me hope that maybe there is, help out there that can kind of, get this under control.
That's interesting. Yeah, yeah. So you felt that relief of like, oh God, at least I've got some backup now and we know what we're dealing with in a way. And so then what was the process of finding you treatment? Because in my experience, many people, it can be a bit of a roller coaster, can't it, to find the right combination of either therapies or medication or whatever it might be that work for you. It sounds like those couple of years after you found out were pretty, you had to drop out of school, some of it, and you just had to find your balance. What was that journey like, just those first months and years?
Yeah, so I guess after I left the hospital the second time after the diagnosis and everything, I believe I came home and I forget how long it took, but I think eventually we seek the psychiatrist, and his name was Dr. Plofsky, and he's I'm still with him now. He's been amazing. Like he's been there ever since most of this has been happening. First we tried a couple different medications, and we switched around a couple different things, and he just said, he was like eventually he was basically just telling me eventually we'll find something. You know, he- and all in the time when we were finding these different medications, my mom was just saying, well, just be patient. It takes time. It takes time for this stuff to kind of take effect anyway. So went through a lot of different combinations of medications and stuff, and then finally, he put me on what was it? And right now I'm on Abilify and sorry, I forget the other one.
That's all right. That's all right. But you found the right combination that works for
Yeah,
you. But you're saying it took a little while.
yeah. It took a little bit. It took about a year to kind of find one that really hit. But once we found the right there were two other medications. And once we got the right combination, even that took about maybe 2 or 3 months to kind of really kick in. And but once we did that, everything started to calm down. I started having these really high anxiety nights, stuff like that, and everything just hit a smooth sail from there. And from there,
Okay.
everything's just kind of been steady from there on.
So, I mean, would you find in those years or even before you got diagnosed, did you experience like people discriminating against you or sort of stigmatizing some of the symptoms or the experience that you were having?
In a way, yeah. I feel like without actually telling me, a lot of people that knew me could sense that something strange was going on. And I might have been acting kind of weird in response,
Sure.
and it kind of might have caused them to kind of either drift away. Nobody in my face was like, "There's something wrong
No.
with you." Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. But I can kind of sense people in my life just kind of drifting outward, drifting away, and it kind of seemed like because something was strange was going on, they kind of just wanted to, create distance, at the time, for whatever reason.
Yeah, and that can almost be more painful because it can be people that you were close with and you sort of become more isolated or lonely because of the experience. And people maybe aren't as comfortable being direct and asking like, hey, what's going on for you? Or what are you worried about? Or how's your mental health? Just like real kind of normalized conversations around that stuff. So which can really leave somebody feeling in a pretty tricky situation. So once you got the concoction of medication, right, and did you do therapy as well? You said you talked to your psychiatrist. Was that part of it, the sort of healing process for you?
Yeah. So we would, we go in first. A lot of times we go in with my parents, or my brother and my sister would go in with me, and we would talk with the psychiatrist, Dr. Plofsky, and we would mention the medications and everything. But he would also, ask me how I'd been feeling since I last saw him, and had anything changed, mentally or emotionally since the last time, things like that. So yeah, we do, and even nowadays when I see him, it's just a lot of one-on-one. Nowadays it's real quick. They're real quick visits, and he just asked me kind of the same routine questions, which they're really helpful. It's not like he's just going through the motions, and he just kind of checks on me. Aside from him, I used to see another guy at a place called Monarch named Chester, and I don't see him, and I haven't gotten to see him as much anymore. It's complicated setting up appointments there, but he was really helpful. He was just very hands-on, very direct with me. He kept it real, and he really hit the nail on the head, trying to just help me out, and as far as just feeling good about myself every day. And and practicing, exercises and methods to just help me, be in a better state mentally each and every day. So.
Because I imagine there were probably some pretty dark moments for you, just sort of rock bottom points where you were frustrated because you didn't know what was going on, or that you felt you'd consistently have to be in this cycle. Would you feel that you just had some emotional rock bottoms when you were just trying to figure it all out?
Oh yeah, definitely. I wouldn't say they got too dark. There were times, there were times when everything was really serious and the medicine wasn't really kicking in yet and all that stuff. I'd be at home, and this would happen maybe once or twice a week. Sometimes even more. It happened back-to-back nights sometimes. I'd be at home, and something might just trigger something in my mind, right? And next thing I know, I'm hearing stuff like all from every which way in my head. And I'm feeling all this bad energy, and it's just like it's stuff that it's so overwhelming you can't control it. It's like you try to sit there and watch TV, you see things happening on the TV, like you see stuff moving around, whatever you try to think or say to yourself to just calm it down, it's kind of like it's being blocked by, the things that you're hearing. And, it just got real intense, like every night, or not every night, but just, every couple nights I would experience this stuff. And I was just like, how is this happening? And it's funny because this wasn't happening when I first started having the symptoms and everything. It was kind of like, once I came home and got a diagnosis, it's like after a couple, it was, exactly. Yeah. It was weird. It was just like, after a couple weeks really of being diagnosed, it was kind of like I was just having these bad, like horrific nights. It was crazy, but it got under control eventually. Thank God. But
yeah, of course. And then, so talk us through, like, you're essentially living with this diagnosis, right? And people have certain choices when they reach sort of rock bottom moments or challenges, right? And we've seen lots of people on the podcast, they kind of come to a point where they got two choices. So one is completely give in a way to the challenge or the feelings or sort of falling apart. Or some people have that kind of fight within them to find out what can they do? What personal responsibility can they take to improve their own mental health? So yes, you may need the medication and the different things external to you, but I'm curious, what have you learned along your journey about things that you specifically need to do, or your environment, or the things that you have some control over in order to put yourself in the best state of mind possible? What have you learned there?
Yeah, I'm just knowing that I would like to continue to be here, and that there are others around me, that love and care for me that would also like me to be here. That's first and foremost. I would say that's number one. And just feeling like you're here for a reason. Those would basically be the main things. But at the same time, I feel like, as far as like you mentioned the part about just having the fight within you, I just always, and this kind of tags in along with the reason you're here. It's like I always felt like there's maybe this will get better one day, and there's something on the other end of that. There's something in my future, that I'm here for. And I just want I want to keep fighting to stay here. I believe that that's always been there. So I just kind of want to, I want to see what that is, or just see what's in store for me, maybe in the future, or just even just for today, you just want to see what's in store for today. And, the fact that you have this gut feeling that, that you're just here for a reason, and that there's something, there's a reason all this is happening. In the case that there's something, in the future as a result of everything, and just the interest in what that is, it's kind of a reason for me that kept me fighting, the whole time.
I love that. So some kind of meaning or purpose that you just feel as a gut instinct in your life, that you might not know all of what it is, right? Maybe some of it you get glimpses here and there, but there's this just gut instinct. I really relate to that because I went through a stage of being suicidal and very depressed after the past that I had. And there was something within me that just knew that there must be something on the other side. So I'm hearing that with you, and some of us just have that fight maybe more than others, or have had the opportunity to build our resilience, right, through the tough stuff more than others. So I love that you've got that purpose and meaning. What do you think has helped that? Like, you do have a gut instinct, but is it just a belief system, or is it your family? It sounds like you've had a supportive family and even supportive mental health support, which some people really can't say that they have, right? Like, what would you say has helped you with the fight and having that hope or belief in that purpose?
Yeah, I would definitely say my family. You know, my family support, that was the number one thing, and the mental health support. You know, I had the psychiatrist and the therapist. I also had my day program, a place called Sanctuary House here in North Carolina, and everybody all together. They just all gave me, the most uplifting, advice and confidence, as to say, don't worry about it. This will pass one day, and you just have to keep going, and just stay the course, and you never know what could be in store for you on the other end of everything. It might be kind of dark right now. I think. Sorry, I wanted to quote somebody real quick.
Sure.
I thought of. Yeah, I think it was Tupac that said, at the end of it's something about at the end of every dark night there's a brighter day, or something like that. I kind of think about that when I think back to my experiences. It's just like, my support system, my family, and all the people my psychiatrist,
Your mental health support team, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel like they all help me understand that concept even more. It's just like, you just have to, it's tough, but you just have to stick it out right now. And, there's just better things on the end. I think that was the main thing that got me through, a lot of what I was going through. Because from what I've heard, everybody doesn't have that,
No, they really don't.
Yeah, and I was fortunate and blessed enough to, have that situation. So
that really does help. And then I'm curious, I know you recently, just because of COVID, have lost a job, but what was it like reintegrating into education and specifically work? Because that's often the place where people feel a lot of stigma if they don't, if they have a diagnosis, or perhaps they need additional support or flexibility within their work life. How did you manage just getting back into the workforce?
By the time, I think it was funny because there's a guy at my day program that I mentioned, Sanctuary House. His name is Ryan, and me and Ryan, we've become really close over the last, probably, I think it's been about 7 or 8 years, if I'm not mistaken. And he always looked. Ever since I've been there, he was always one of the people that, everybody there looks out for me, but he was really, he's really hands-on with me. So, it kind of felt like he was waiting for a time for me to like get more, stable, and just just ready to work, basically, with my condition mentally. So he, one day we were shooting basketball at the YMCA, here in Greensboro, in my hometown, and he just asked me. He's like, would you like to work? And I was like, yeah. And then he was like, well, I'll talk to this company that I know, and maybe you can get a job there. And I was like, all right. So, after a while, I didn't hear anything about it, and I was just like, and I kept checking with him. He was like, well, I got to keep checking with him. We'll see. And then, one day he came to me. He was just like, okay, we're gonna go over there and talk to him. And I think he did mention to me one time that he just said, well, I just had to wait till you were ready, And I, and I completely understood what he meant there. So, and I felt like, it was that time, because when I was checking with him all those other times in the past about the job, I kind of look back on those times and I was like, well, I don't think I was ready to work back then. I think I was just, a little bit anxious to do something. But his timing was right on. It was right on, and once I got the job, I felt like I was, I was at my, top condition and everything in order to, perform the work and everything. So I guess just knowing that he knew when I was ready, and also just understanding when myself was ready to go to work. That was kind of a key thing in knowing when I was ready to go back into the workplace.
Yeah. How did you know that you were ready? What did that mean for you?
I wasn't having the nights, the intense nights anymore. I wasn't having those anymore, and I think I started going to the gym. For a while I wasn't playing a lot of, I love to play basketball. It's like my first love, but I wasn't going to the gym a lot because I was having a lot of like stuff going on in my mind. But I started going back to the gym. I could play, for a whole night without having any kind of like negative thoughts. Not too many negative thoughts, not a lot of anxiety. Things like that. And it's just, I guess, just mainly those two things. That the gym, and just I wasn't having the bad nights anymore. I could sense things were kind of progressing and improving. And I guess those were the main things. It's weird, but those was kind of a combination that told me, okay, I think I'm kind of ready to get back out into the public, and interact a little more.
Yeah, no, I think people forget that work can really be a great thing for people. So having that routine, making your own bit of money, like community, all those sorts of things can actually be really beneficial if your workplace is also supportive of perhaps the downtimes or the ups and downs that might occur. We're coming to the end of our time. So my final question, I'm curious about, what do you wish people knew about mental health or about specifically schizophrenia that maybe they don't often know?
Yeah, that's a good one. Just that you really, I guess if you're somebody that knows someone dealing with the situation, I guess the best thing is just to kind of take your time, and lend a hand out to that person, understand what they're going through, and just take your time with that person. And I feel like there were a lot of people in my life who I still cherish nowadays, but it's kind of like they didn't understand what I was going through then. And then when you come out on the other end of everything and things feel fine, it's kind of like you might kind of want to get back in touch with them and everything, but it's kind of like that person's kind of moved on, and life is different now, and you don't really connect again. But I feel like if you stay patient with the person, understand what they're going through, then that's the key thing, and just developing even more of a positive relationship between you and other people, something like that. And I guess on top of that, I guess that's being supportive and everything, but on top of that, just if you have the situation on yourself, just trust that everything is going to be okay in the end. Take your time, breathe, do breathing exercises, meditate if you have to, and just talk to somebody, because you never know what the other person is. Find people to talk to that you understand how they respond if they if they're considerate, or something like that, but just if you find considerate people in your life, just take the time to talk to them and hope they understand what you're going through, and hope they're able to kind of aid you in getting past it.
Yeah, I love that.
If it makes sense. Yeah.
It does. So, you're saying be patient with the person. If you've had a relationship before and they're going through something big, wait, be patient, ask how you can support. And I love how you then turned it around to you. Like, if you're going through the thing, it's not going to last forever in that format. So talking to people, getting the right support, even if you've got a diagnosis for life, which some people don't, of course, it can evolve and you can get to a place of stability, productivity. I love that you're studying, and of course, we're working and reflecting on your own purpose and meaning. So Wesley, thank you so much for your time and attention. And I really wish for you only good things, but also that you really find all the purpose within everything that you've been through. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you, Petra. I hope the same for you.
Thank you.